Today on the Possibility Mom Live, I am tackling a series of podcasts leading up to my live event, Wealth Without Guilt, live happening October 5 through 7, 2023 in Toronto, Canada. And I'm going to be exploring the concepts that I'm going to be covering live in person at this conference, which include how to serve God with your business, how to trust God with your business, and how to build a profitable business so you can contribute to a thriving Catholic economy. Today on the podcast, we are tackling what it looks like to serve God with your business. What does it look like for a Catholic mom to serve God with her business? There are so many angles in which I could take to talk about this podcast. And in fact, when I did a quick Google search of what does it mean to serve God with your business, I got all kinds of things like ethical conduct, like humane choices, environmental choices, all kinds of things in terms of serving God, glorifying God with your business. But the thing that I'm going to focus on today, and the thing that gets me so excited as a life coach and a mindset coach, is the concept of stewardship. What does it look like to be a good steward of what has been given to you? As we read in Peter chapter 4, verse 10, as each one has received a gift, use it to serve one another as good stewards of God's varied grace. And Pope Benedict goes on to talk about stewardship, and you can read a lot about stewardship in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, of course. The practice of stewardship is important for the mission of the Church and for the spiritual well-being of each individual Christian. Everyone benefits from the sacrificial gift one makes of his time, talent, and treasure. This is Pope Benedict. Time, talent, and treasure is the commonly used expression to describe what stewardship is in the eyes of the Catholic Church. And so we are going to dive into today what it looks like to be a good steward of your time, your talent, and your treasure in the context of Catholic business ownership and motherhood. I don't know why I cannot talk today. I'm so sorry. But before we dive into this topic, I need to share something with you that made me laugh so hard. And so we're going to be talking about time. We're going to be talking about talent. You might also be familiar with the biblical scripture of not hiding your talents under a bushel. I could not help but think of that phrase when I came upon this on my Instagram. Now, if you have not paid a visit over to my Instagram at Lisa Canning, I really want to encourage you to come over there and follow me at Lisa Canning on Instagram. I've been sharing a lot about just what's going on in my life. There's been a post that has gone fairly, a very popular post on how to afford a large family, and what really I think is underlying all of the questions about affording a large family. It really is more about how do you deal with other people's discomfort in having a large family. And so there was a really beautiful conversation right here on this post. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm showing on the screen the post that I talk about affording a large family. But what really that means when people are asking those questions is, what do you do when other people are uncomfortable with the fact that you have a large family and think you can't afford it? Okay, lots of fun things. But the thing that I just want to bring up right now, and I'm hoping that technology agrees, for those of you watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on your podcast, I want to encourage you to come over and watch this on the YouTube version, because, oh my gosh, this made me laugh so hard. If you're listening to this in podcast form, this is a video of a praise and worship session where unfortunately something is happening to the drummer. Okay, let's watch it together.
filling every part of our praise. Your presence in this place, your glory on our face. We're looking to the sky, descending like a cloud. You're standing with us now. Lord, unveil our eyes. You're the reason we're here. You're the reason we're singing. Open up the heavens, we want to see you. Open up the floodgates, a mighty river flowing from your heart, filling every part of our praise. Open up the heavens, we want to see you.
I have watched that clip so many times. I cannot stop laughing. For those of you who are listening to this in podcast form, what I just shared was a hilarious video off of the internet. Forgive me, I can't credit. I just closed the window where it was, but where a drummer, unfortunately, is drumming, but this fake tree just keeps falling on him. And it just keeps happening, and he's trying so hard to keep drumming. At one point, he stops drumming to try to adjust the tree, but then the tree just keeps falling on his face. Anyway, and the caption I thought was pretty accurate. It was like, "Has your week felt like this?" It was something like that, and it made me laugh because, of course, don't we all have weeks where sometimes you're like, "It just feels like I'm trying to keep time. I'm still trying to keep time. I'm still trying to keep going." And a fake tree is falling on my face. Anyways, I had to share that with you because it just gave me such a chuckle. Alrighty, so let's dive into now the topic of what it looks like to serve God with your business and why this is so connected to stewardship. I believe this is so connected to stewardship because that we are the vehicle, we are the vessel, we are the conduit of allowing the Holy Spirit to work through us, through our God-given design, in order to build the kingdom and make impact on the world. Just think about that, even just from a very cerebral concept, like just very logically and very cerebrally. We are the conduit, meaning the Lord has equipped us all very uniquely. This is not Brave New World, or this is not any other dystopian type of book you might have read where we're put into very specific little groups. Some people argue that that's what it is, but it's just not. We are created uniquely. We are created with very specific gifts and talents. You know, to quote another very influential person in my life, Cardinal Newman, like we are all created with a mission. And we have a very specific, I'm paraphrasing a little bit, forgive me, but we have a very specific part to play in said mission, and we will serve regardless of what's going on. So we're not created like little robots. We're not created like lemmings. We're not created like this sort of homogeneous mass. Like we are created uniquely. We can see that. For those of you who have more than one child, you can see that. We are created so uniquely. And so that is just a reality we have to accept. A reality we have to accept is that we are created uniquely. And so because of this unique design, because of this variety that the Lord so clearly loves, this is why I am so, dare I say, obsessed with personal development. And we're going to get to that when we talk about stewardship of talent. I am so obsessed with personal development because I argue the more we know about ourselves and our unique design, and the more that we can show up as that best version of ourselves and can learn tools and strategies to help mitigate or help navigate when we show up to situations and perhaps we're not showing up as our best selves because of the basement, so to speak, or the shadow or the flip side of some of our amazing attributes, the more we learn about that, the more I believe we can be a conduit of the Holy Spirit and be able to make the impact that we were designed to make. To speak in a little bit more layman's terms, the more we can understand our unique design and be a good steward of our time, our talent, and our treasure in light of that unique design, the more fun we have, the more easy, I'm going to argue, that things will feel, the more effortless, the more energy we're going to have. And when you are a busy mom and you want to show up well, and I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, that is you. You want to show up well for your spouse. You want to show up well for your kids. Can we all agree this is going to be a heck of a lot easier when we understand how we are uniquely equipped to love and serve our people? Can we all agree, please and thank you, and let me know if you're watching this live in the comments, that the more we understand our unique design, and when I say unique design, just in case you're curious about a definition, I'm talking about things like your temperament, your strengths, your motivations in life, understanding your hard wiring because of things in your childhood, understanding the things that need to be healed, understanding what makes your central nervous system be set up for success and what does not. When we understand, that's my fairly broad, high level definition of unique design. When we understand this unique, God given, very inherent, Holy Spirit driven, like just you, who He has created to be in this world, and then some of the limitations that come up with, perhaps just wounds and challenges and some of the downsides of our human tendencies. When we can understand these, when we can, again, receive the right coaching, receive the right training so that we're operating at our best, there's so much that can happen. And again, I argue it's the responsibility. I'm going to call it that. I believe it's the responsibility of a Catholic mom who perhaps is feeling the call to do business, to become a master at her unique design, a master at understanding herself, with the goal of two things: becoming as holy as she is meant to become, and so that she can just on a very practical level show up well as a wife and a mom and serve her people well. So let's dig into these three concepts or parts of stewardship. The first one being stewardship of time. At Wealth Without Guilt Live, October 5 through 7, 2023 in Toronto, Canada, I am going to equip you with some specific training about time. Because here's the thing, when you are a busy mom, and let's just be honest, there is a non-negotiable time element, meaning you cannot, like you must put in face time to be a mom. There's no kind of getting around that. You can't delegate it. You can't try to, replace yourself. Like there really just is no debate around this. You must be available to your children in order to be their mother. And so can this not then act as a massive motivator for us to run our businesses in the most efficient way possible? I would argue, and this might be a little bit fatalistic language, so forgive me. I don't, maybe I wouldn't put this like on a sticker or something, but it's like you can't afford to waste time. Like meaning, and I don't want, that could send some people on a real trigger, mindset trip. So please don't misunderstand my intention. But my point is, again, I believe it's the responsibility of a Catholic mom who feels called to go into business to become a master at time management. Because again, it's a non-negotiable to show up for your kids. That's not like it's not a replaceable activity. There are loads of things like technology and people and systems can quote unquote replace, you in time in your business. But that is not the case in motherhood. And so I want to help you develop some very specific skills regarding time management. And part of that is in identifying what are the tasks in your business that are necessary for you to do, and what could anyone else do? And even just more specifically, for example, if you only have 5 hours a week to run a business, because that is what you've determined would be good stewardship of time is, if we're spending 5 hours creating a single reel for Instagram, or we're spending that entire 5 hours in research only mode, or even we're spending those entire 5 hours in mindset work or training or that kind of a thing, like consumption of training, I'm going to argue we're not actually running a business. We're still just in the we're only tackling one aspect. There are 6, in my humble opinion, very specific pillars or activities that we need to tackle regularly. And you might have weeks where you focus mainly on 1 or 2 of these pillars, or you might have weeks where you're preparing, like, for example, like I am for a big conference or a big project. And so again, you're perhaps not tackling all 6, but a business is not viable if you're not tackling the 6 pillars that I teach in the business buffet, which is your brain. It's an acronym. Your brain, your understanding of your target audience, your free content, your funnel, your engagement and your email list, and trust so you can build a final sale. If you are not tackling these 6 things regularly, I argue you're not building necessarily a sustainable business. These six things need to be tackled. And so we have to be good stewards of our time. All right. So stewardship of time. And this really comes down to priorities. This comes down to lots of virtue in terms of discipline and obedience. It's a lot of things. So stewardship of time is so important. We can serve God with our businesses by being good stewards of our time and identifying what is most important. And in a business, it's AKA what will make you money. That's honestly a big thing. What will make you money? Stewardship of talent. This is the one that, as a personal development, mindset, and business coach, I love to talk about. I recently just got coached on my M code by Laura Rowland, who is developing her skills as an M code coach. M code I did a podcast on not too long ago. You can go back and check that out. M code has been something that has helped me so much. And in 1 hour, she helped me see some of the downsides of my motivations. She helped me to understand how I show up my best given my motivations. And she gave me some very practical things to think about and to leverage. And this is something I want to help people with at my live event in Toronto, October 5 through 7. I want to help you understand your unique design, specifically keeping in context things like your temperament, your strength finder strengths, and your M code. Everyone coming to my conference is going to get an access code to take your M code assessment for free. This is normally $99. That's like a large portion of the conference fee itself. Because I believe, like I said earlier in this podcast, when we are able to really master and understand our unique design, things feel more fun. Things take less time. Things feel like you are in flow, like you're not coming up against, challenges. So Laura, in my coaching session yesterday on my M code, one of my motivations is the particular one we were talking about, I think in the example was either realize the vision or excel. So I have those as my number 2 and my number 3 motivation: realize the vision and excel. And I'm pretty sure it was realize the vision, now that I'm recalling, where mundane tasks are no fun. And so she really, really, really had me here. If you stay in some of these mundane tasks, I was just describing some of the things that, I sometimes do on a daily basis. She was like, if you stay in these mundane tasks, you are really going to struggle. You're going to really feel like you're floundering because you're not going to be feeling like you're moving the vision forward, which is so important to your motivation. You will always be motivated to realize the vision, and you'll get frustrated when you feel like that's not moving farther, faster, right? So knowing that and knowing that information, I can ensure that I have parameters and systems and help in my life to keep me out of said things. Some of these things are obviously innate. You probably know these things about yourself. You probably know if you're not great at details or you're better at larger picture and all those kinds of things. But to, again, have it on paper and be able to develop a plan. What does this look like in the course of the week? What do I need to feel fulfilled, to feel motivated, or even just to have clarity around when something is problematic? What of my unique design can I appeal to? What of my unique design will always show up? And this is also where oh my word, and we're going to talk about this in the next episode on trusting God with your business, because understanding your central nervous system and what can trigger it, and understanding, again, what you might need in your life, whether it be therapy, whether it be self-talk, whether it be coaching, or whether it simply is just guidance around boundaries, and again, just personal development skills, just like practical skills, so that when you are triggered by something, you are able to help yourself cope. That is being a good steward of your talent. So, for example, I have shared on this podcast pretty transparently, I struggle with failure. I struggle with anything not working out. I will try to avoid it at all costs. It sometimes shows up in a workaholic type of tendency in my work, in doing my own personal work using an internal family systems therapist. I have come to understand that I have parts of myself that get really afraid of failing. And when that happens, a firefighter type of protector Lisa comes in, and that's usually the workaholic one. That's usually the one who will just work all the hours, and she kind of tells herself, oh, if I do this, if I work really, really hard, I won't fail, right? Anyway, so my point is that's unsustainable. I cannot be a workaholic all the time. I cannot be away from my beautiful, 9 kids with one more on the way. I cannot be away from my husband, constantly working, whether it's actual, practically, physically, or mentally. I cannot, be constantly on my phone with him if I want to have a great marriage. All those kinds of great things. This is what it means to be a good steward of your talent, I argue. When you can understand, oh, my central nervous system gets triggered when I'm in this kind of situation, but now I have skills to deal with it instead of some of the alternatives, which include lashing out and being frustrated and being grumpy. Can you imagine if our businesses and being good stewards of our talents actually produced happier, healthier, more regulated moms? What a gift would that be to your family? And here's the thing that sometimes people tell me, and again, I'm trying to be sensitive here. I'm getting riled up, but I am trying to be sensitive. Business can be hard. Business can be stressful. You can get into situations where it is legit challenging. And of course, it's going to occupy your mind. And of course, you might be prone to the very normal human behavior of snapping at people or lashing out or whatever. Human behavior, totally fine, right? But what if you were so self-aware What if you were so self-aware that when these triggers happen, yes, you might have a human reaction, but let's say you can even catch it before then. And you can actually be like, wait, I actually have this. I know what's happening here. This happens often. I actually have the skills to regulate. This to me is is a huge, massive component of serving God with your business and how your business can actually help build the kingdom and glorify God. Women, mothers who are regulated, who are operating out of this place of peace and generosity as opposed to scarcity and frustration. This is a gift to the world. This is the feminine genius, in my humble opinion. A woman who is regulated. Okay, anyway. So at Wealth Without Guilt Live, we're diving into all those concepts just previously mentioned. What it looks like for a mom entrepreneur to have a regulated central nervous system, and what it looks like to very practically use your gifts and talents, including your temperament, your strengths, and your motivations to design optimal work experiences, optimal product delivery, optimal even customer experience, keeping all of that in mind. And then finally, being a steward of treasure. This is actually going to be the entire focus of the third podcast in this series. And so I'm going to save this from 2 weeks from today. But we need money to live in today's modern world. That is, again, another non-negotiable. Sorry, hate to admit it. We're not in a barter system. You might live in a community where you're like that, but for the majority of people listening to this podcast, you exist in an economy where money is simply necessary for the exchange of goods. So your business needs to be profitable. And that means you have to know some of your numbers. It's so easy to talk about being generous, in my humble opinion. I think we can talk about generosity and how the Lord rewards generosity, and that's all still very important. I'm not trying to dismiss that. But a big part of being generous is having a business that is profitable. I hate to say it. And so I want you to leave my event with a clear sense of this is how I'm going to make money in my business. Alrighty. Those are my thoughts on how to serve God with your business, how your unique design can build the kingdom and glorify God. We are going to go into this so much further at my live event, Wealth Without Guilt Live, October 5 through 7, 2023 in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I would love for you to join me in person in my home and native land, or you may join me virtually, of course. We're going to create an incredible experience for those of you who can join virtually, and you can go and learn more about the event and grab your tickets. Tickets are extremely limited, so please, please, please do not wait to grab your ticket because we have a very limited seating number at the location in Toronto, and you can go and learn more about it at thepossibitymomconference.com/2023. So excited to continue this conversation next week on how to trust God with your business. Bye for now.